Number 10. The forest creature. One trend in the GoPro community is to attach a GoPro to your pet in order to see their point of view of the world. This is especially popular for dogs, as people will let them roam and then watch back the journey that they took. And that's what happened here, a GoPro attached to a dog freely roaming through the woods. But when the owner watched the footage back, they were shocked by what they saw. At one point in the video, you can see a large, dark, humanoid-like creature walking across the frame. It's very hunched over and seems to have long hanging arms, looking to be too big to be a human and a bit more animalistic in its posture. Many people who have seen this video believe that this is a Bigfoot sighting, though many note how the dog didn't seem to react at all to the strange creature in its path, so it must be fake. But hey, the dog and the Bigfoot might be friends. You don't know their story. Number 9. Ontario Bigfoot. This one comes from my home province of Ontario, and the clip has been featured on a few different shows about unidentified creatures and cryptids. This couple was driving down the road and they had a GoPro camera attached to the back of their car, pointing towards the side of the road and trees. They didn't seem to realize at the time that while they were driving, they caught footage of something incredibly mysterious. Watching the footage back, you can see a large dark creature standing at the side of the road. While it does appear to have 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, its shape is not entirely humanoid, looking more like a large gorilla standing in the bushes. Many people believe that this couple managed to capture video evidence of a Bigfoot in Canada. While some people think that this may be a hoax because of the fact that the creature doesn't appear to move, saying it could just be a mannequin, others fully believe that this is real evidence of Bigfoot. So what do you think? Number 8. Skier falls. To me, this is one of the most terrifying videos on this list. The full video is around 16 minutes long and shows the ordeal of a skier on a mountain. He is with a group and they appear to turn around to head in a different direction. When he moves, however, the soft snow falls away to reveal a crevasse underneath him, and he falls in. Watching the footage is terrifying, as you can see the dark depths of the ravine and the struggle that the skier goes through to try and hold on. I truly can't imagine how I would react in that situation. As he moves around, he actually falls lower, looking up towards the light and yelling out to alert his companions to the fact that he is no longer with them. As he tries to climb his way out and prevent himself from falling any deeper, you can finally see one of the other skiers lean their head over the opening of the crack. They're able to drop a rope and assist him in climbing out, and a helicopter picked them up shortly after. Number 7. Police clearing. This video comes from Reddit and is the footage of a Brazilian police officer that they had originally posted on Twitter. The group of officers are clearing through what appears to be an abandoned asylum or other large dilapidated building. As they're walking through, they come across a door that is acting incredibly out of the ordinary. The door is swinging back and forth wildly, hanging off of its hinges as it swings in the empty air. There doesn't appear to be any reasonable explanation for this, and even the police officers in the video are shocked and appear to try and figure out what's going on. There doesn't seem to be any significant wind that would be pushing the door, and definitely not in the way it is going in 2 different directions at the same speed. Also, due to the fact that the area is open, there is seemingly no way that changes in air pressure would be causing the door to move like that. The police officers eventually decide to get the heck out of there, leaving the door behind them with no explanation of what was happening. Number 6. Shark attack. This one is another one to add to the list of situations that I have nightmares about. This one comes from a group of scuba divers who were going spear fishing, and one of them is equipped with a GoPro to film their exploits. They head off in their own different directions, and the diver finally reaches the sea floor, looking around for any fish. The water is incredibly dark and murky, and you really can't see very far ahead of you. So when he looks up, a great white shark suddenly appears as if out of nowhere out of the murky water, heading right towards him. He thinks quickly, sticking out his spear to keep the shark away as it tries to turn back and come at him again. Once the shark is far enough away, the diver resurfaces, seeing that their boat isn't that far. He yells out to his friends in warning, telling them that the shark is nearby and to obviously try and avoid it. I think the scariest part of this video is how the shark appears like a jump scare, giving the diver only a split second to figure out what to do. Number 5. Kitchen poltergeist. This video is one of many that comes from a YouTube channel that is known for their alleged poltergeist that resides inside their home. They often post videos that they have filmed that seem to show evidence of the restless spirit disrupting things within their home. This video in particular was filmed by a GoPro that they put on a turntable high up on a shelf to record the entirety of their kitchen overnight. In the video footage, there are 3 main things that you can see. The first appears to be an oven door opening slowly, followed by the main door opening and then a chair falling backwards and crashing into the floor. There doesn't appear to be anything set up in the footage that would have made it obvious that this was faked. No strings or anyone else that can be seen in the room. While some people believe that videos like this are faked, it's hard to prove, so if you don't think it's real, let me know why down below. Number 4. Bear chase. Most of us know of the infamous faked GoPro bear chase video that seemed to fool a lot of people. A massive bear seeming to chase behind a biker on a trail. Instead of showing you that one and trying to pass it off as real, I am going to show you a genuine bear encounter GoPro video. This one comes from a man and his cousin that were mountain biking down a trail in the woods. He gets a bit far ahead of his cousin, so he stops to allow him to catch up, when all of a sudden he hears a sound beside him and turns to see a bear running down the hill towards him. He reacts so quickly that you really need to stop and pause the video to even see it. He starts cycling down the hill but crashes, turning around and likely expecting to see the bear right on top of him. Instead, it changes direction and starts heading towards his cousin, but it eventually backs off. You can see in the video that this is actually a mother bear with her cub, and that's likely why she acted so aggressively. Fortunately, both the bikers were okay. Number 3. Stucky's ghost. This paranormal interaction is short but incredibly unsettling. It comes from a YouTuber named Nomadic Fanatic who travels across the country in his RV, documenting his journey on camera. He becomes lost at a dead end with a bridge and realizes that he is at a location with a haunted history. Stucky's bridge, which is located in Mississippi, is apparently home to a ghost. A man named Stucky would stand outside at night and lead lost travelers to his inn, where he would then kill them and toss them over the side of the bridge. Stucky's crimes were discovered, and as punishment they killed him over the side of the very same bridge. They say that if you are standing there and hear a splash in the water, it's Stucky's ghost. Nomadic Fanatic is talking about the graffiti on the bridge when he suddenly hears a loud splash. He immediately reacts, looking around him and trying to see if there was anyone or anything around that could have made the sound, but he's clearly all alone. He decides not to stick around and see what Stucky might have to say, and instead runs off the bridge back to his camper. Smart choice. Number 2. Dog cam. As I mentioned in the last video, one incredibly popular use for GoPro cameras is strapping them to the back of your dog to see their point of view. That's what one couple did when they left their dog alone in the house so they could see what he was getting up to. When they watched back the footage though, they started to believe that their house may be haunted. Throughout the video, you can see the dog being startled despite us not being able to hear or see anything there. There are also strange sounds that can be heard that make it seem like someone else is in the home, even though the only living being inside is the dog. The dog never seems to be able to calm down, constantly wandering around the house and following after things that we can't see. Eventually, the couple returns home and the dog appears to even try and make a run for it out the door before excitedly greeting his parents. Many people believe that animals are able to see ghosts and spirits that we cannot, and this may be evidence of that. Number 1. Plane crash. This one is absolutely terrifying to watch, especially if you are afraid of heights. In this scenario, there were 2 different airplanes that were loaded with skydivers, flying over waiting to get to their drop zone. Skydivers are often equipped with GoPros to record these stunning heights and views, so there are actually multiple angles of what happened. One plane gets too close and crashes into the other, the wing of one plane bursting into flames. As a result, the skydivers are panicked and have to quickly jump out, one being jostled around and getting hung up on the door before he's finally able to jump himself. Thankfully, they were all equipped with parachutes and were able to make their way safely to the ground. One of the planes was destroyed, but the other was able to land at a nearby runway. The idea of being surrounded by flames and having to jump out of a shaking airplane is absolutely terrifying, even if you were already planning on jumping out of it in the first place. Number 10. Ghost girl. Let's Let's kick this list off with the paranormal footage of what some people believe to be a ghost or some other supernatural being. In 2017, a YouTuber posted footage of him and his friends in Mexico at night. The footage starts off with the group standing on a street, seemingly having been frightened by something as they shine their flashlights down the road. You can't see anything at first, but the men seem certifiably spooked and must have all seen something pretty scary to put them in this state. When the camera turns to one of the boys on the ground, it then moves back up, showing the outline of a girl standing against a building. It appears to be a woman with long dark hair, with her neck turned at an odd angle. Though it's a bit hard to make out exactly what it is or what the person looks like, this is apparently the creature that had scared the boys, as they react with panic and immediately start running away. Number 9. Train tunnel. Now this one is not anything ghostly or mysterious, but instead just a terrifying experience that took place between one man and his friends. As a lot of teenagers do, they were walking along train tracks when they came across a tunnel. Following the tracks, they continued inside and were met with an incredibly long and dark journey ahead of them. As they moved through the tracks though, they realized they were in terrible danger. A light was at the end of the tunnel, but it was the light on the end of a train that was barreling towards them. The train was huge and the tunnel was narrow, meaning if they were caught inside with it, they would probably die. They make a mad sprint for the opening of the tunnel, fighting against the clock to try and save their own lives. Everything being captured on their GoPro in footage that looks straight out of an action movie. They make it out of the tunnel and only a second later the train goes whizzing past. Number 8. Lost at Sea. This one is similar to the last, as it was almost the video documentation of someone's final moments alive. In this video, a man named Jake has become stranded at sea after scuba diving, drifting in the ocean for hours. He pulled out his GoPro camera in order to document his final moments, saying, "That's a wrap on old Jakey." He was forced to stay afloat for a total of 6 terrifying hours, even after the sun went down and drenched him in darkness. But he says that he wasn't scared in what he believed to be his final moments, and said in an interview that he was actually just thirsty. It must be pretty terrible to be dying of thirst when you're surrounded by water, but you can't drink it. Fortunately for him, a plane was able to spot him thanks to the inflatable emergency marker that he was wearing on his back, and he was rescued after spending his terrifying evening at sea. It was in fact not a wrap for old Jakey. Number 7. Haunted house. Urban exploration is a very popular genre on YouTube, and I've often found myself binging the videos of people walking through abandoned homes or even theme parks. Well, these YouTubers were wandering through an abandoned house and supposedly haunted house when they caught something on camera that they definitely didn't expect. They're walking through the house and the viewer can see that it's clearly been empty for a while, in a state of disrepair with garbage and graffiti all over the floors and walls. It's dark inside the home and they have a flashlight on their GoPro as they move through the layout. They reach a corner when you can see an extremely dark, shadowy figure seeming to move around the corner and hide. While you might brush it off as just someone's shadow at first, it becomes scarier as you think about it more. The footage is coming from the front of the group, the flashlight attached to the camera, and you can see that there is clearly nothing in front of the light that would have allowed this shadow to be created. So did they manage to see a ghost or a demon in this house? Number 6. The tunnel. This YouTuber decided to take a long walk down a dark tunnel because, well, who wouldn't? The tunnel was a large sewer drain that rumors said would apparently lead you to hell. So of course this man decided to take on the dark abandoned tunnel by himself, GoPro in hand, ready to capture whatever he might find. When he's walking though, he starts to hear strange noises, described as the sound of metal being dragged along the floor or the wall. This doesn't stop him though, and he continues moving forward, the footage looking straight out of a found footage horror movie. Some viewers of the video commented on the fact that the tunnel hadn't been spray painted or torn apart like many other abandoned places, throwing out the suggestion that this is because everyone was too scared to venture into the tunnel, even for a bit of easy vandalism. Not long into his journey, his battery starts to die, so he makes his way back to the exit, still hearing the sound of scraping metal. Number 5. Motorcycle shadow. For the halfway part of this list, we are taking a look at another weird and unexplainable shadow, but this one took place in broad daylight. This person was taking a ride around town on their motorcycle when they realized they needed gas, and fortunately there was a gas station close by, so he pulled up, parking his motorcycle and getting ready at the pump. He's fumbling with his card when viewers can see the shadow of a person quickly walking by, reflected on the pump. The man on the motorcycle sees it too and whips his head around to see who's there, as the shadow appeared to show the person right behind him. But as he looks around, we can see that there isn't anyone even near him, and no one walking by in the distance who may have ran past. It's clear from the placement of the shadow that the person should have been close behind him, but nobody's there. Some people believe that it may be the shadow of a ghost or perhaps some other interdimensional being. Number 4. Creature. People don't just use GoPros to take videos of their daily rides on motorcycles, it's also incredibly popular to strap them to your helmet and film your trail on your bicycle, and that's exactly what this person did. They were filming their ride down a trail in their home village, video content. They then turn down a pathway that has tall walls on either side when he jumps down onto the ground beside the bicycle. The man filming is shocked and stops, turning around to see that the creature is already gone. He said that he thought it was a dog, but on review that it doesn't appear to be a monkey and moved much too fast, disappearing way quicker than any normal creature. Do you think it's a monkey, or do you think it might be something more mysterious? Number 3. Zipline. We're back with another terrifying situation that I know would personally be my worst nightmare, and I would never want to be caught in it. These two people were ziplining when they stared down their potential deaths. They became trapped on the zipline when they discovered there was a knot in the cord and they would not be able to move forward any further, the clip being too small to go over it. You would never catch me willingly going for a zipline ride, but a zipline that looks like it's been tied together with a failed Boy Scout knot? No thank you. Watching the video is terrifying as you're able to see just how high above the ground these people are, and imagining yourself stuck up there is enough to get almost anyone scared. After continuously trying and failing to move forward down the zipline, they eventually make the decision to detach themselves and jump off. Don't worry though, they were equipped with a parachute and were able to make it to the ground safely. Number 2. Abandoned house. We're back to urban exploration again, this time at an abandoned house in my home country of Canada. Just like most abandoned locations and the last one featured on this list, the home was torn apart and vandalized, covered in garbage, rubble, and inappropriate graffiti. The people exploring the home were already put on edge by the dark and dilapidated atmosphere, but the more time they spent in there, the worse it got. They noticed that one of the doors in the home appeared to be opening and closing on its own, opening really wide before slamming against the door frame. They said that what they were feeling is unable to be conveyed through what you just see in the video, saying they felt like some dark presence was there with them and feeling more scared than they had ever been. When they looked behind the door that was moving on its own, it was clear that there was no one else within the home manipulating it, at least not anyone living. Number 1. Asylum guest. When it comes to urban exploration, one of the most popular destinations is old abandoned asylums. They are usually popular for their long and typically dark histories and the potential to find creepy artifacts within the walls. It's also believed by a lot of people that ghosts are born out of having a tragic death or unfinished business, something that would happen a lot at these now shut down hospitals. These YouTubers were exploring an abandoned asylum when they realized that they weren't alone, except it likely wasn't a ghost that was hiding within the walls. Despite there being no other cars around the building or other signs of life, they see someone standing beside a set of stairs, appearing to be on their cell phone as they were illuminated by the light of the screen. They try to communicate with the person, but he doesn't respond to them. Instead of sticking around to find out more like a proper horror movie protagonist, these guys cleared the area, leaving behind behind the asylum and the person who seemed to be living in the middle of nowhere. Number 10. Forest robbery. Let's start off with one outside of the realm of the paranormal, but still inside the realm of the terrifying. This biker was going down a trail on a beautiful day when suddenly a man can be seen appearing from the trees and bushes. The man runs up to the biker, revealing that he is armed. Two more men then join him from the trees and they rob the man, stealing his wallet, bike, car keys, and more. I can't imagine how terrifying this scenario must be when there is clearly no one else close by who can help you, and there is truly nothing you can really do. While the men are robbing him, one even looks directly into the GoPro camera that the biker is wearing on his head, but seems to not realize what it is, leaving after telling the man to walk away with his hands up. Thanks to the GoPro not being stolen, it was handed in as evidence and all three men were able to be identified and arrested, though I can imagine the biker probably never goes down that same path. Number 9. The morgue. This video was also published in 2017 by a user called SteadyPop. They were exploring an abandoned building when they came across an underground morgue. As they walk closer to the dark hallway, you can hear the distinct sound of something metal slamming against the wall. As they walk further down the flickering hallway, you get the distinct feeling that this is the worst decision a horror movie character could ever make. Just turn around and leave. But the cameraman doesn't and instead braves the dark expanse of the morgue, discovering the source of the slamming sound. It is a large red door, rhythmically banging open and shut. The sound of the banging is just so loud and terrifying. While some people in the comments have claimed it was just a trick with a fishing line, could the fishing line really have been able to slam the door that hard? Number 8. Cliff diving. Alright, now let's quickly move out of the paranormal and go to another just terrifying, death-defying situation. I found this video on TikTok and it seems to show a man going cliff diving. He is crawling along the top of the cliff, holding on to what looks to be a fence, potentially showing the fact that he is in a restricted or even dangerous area. But he continues on, moving towards where the water is. He eventually makes it to the point that he decides to jump from, but this immediately shows itself to be a pretty bad idea. As he jumps in, it becomes clear in the footage that he may not make it to the water, and he realizes this himself, yelling out in fear. Fortunately, he does not hit the rocks below, just barely making it to the water. If he had been only a few inches closer, he likely would have hit the ground and suffered from severe injuries. The near miss is terrifying to watch and has you on the edge of your seat hoping that he makes it. Number 7. Bad ideas. Alright, now back to the paranormal. I've titled this one Bad Ideas because it comes from a YouTube channel called The Bad Ideas, and the whole situation is just generally a bad idea. He is riding down a trail with his friend with a GoPro camera mounted on his head, when he suddenly comes across another GoPro that appears to have been strategically left on a tree stump for someone else to find. They then have the bad idea of taking it home and seeing what footage is on it. When they open the camera, a piece of paper falls out that appears to have a password, and when they get into the footage, it is incredibly eerie. It is scarily edited footage of a mysterious masked creature, a walking mannequin, a young man with a skull, and a weirdly edited photo of Jesus. Some people say that the video is staged due to the placement of the GoPro, but even if it is staged, the footage is enough to put anyone on edge. Many people in the comments believing that the footage is actually cursed. Number 6. Forest creature. This one was uploaded to YouTube under an account called Strange Videos, and it definitely fits that description. The footage comes from someone walking in the woods, filming their experience on their GoPro. Suddenly, in the background of the footage, you can see what appears to be a dark and mysterious creature. As the videographer gets closer, the identity of the creature becomes even more confusing. Many people saying that it's clear that it's not Bigfoot, but it definitely isn't human either. It appears to be tall and skinny, swaying its arms in a slow and purposeful motion. The footage is incredibly eerie to watch, as you feel like you're just waiting for it to turn around and look into the camera. Like the last one, some people believe that this footage has been staged or edited, but again, the footage is still incredibly unsettling, real or not. To me, it looks like this guy managed to catch a demogorgon on camera. Number 5. Kayaking. Let's have another break from the paranormal and switch over to the just straight up scary. This one is another one that I found on TikTok and comes from a man who is kayaking with a GoPro attached to his helmet. He is peacefully going down the water when an alligator appears to come out of nowhere from the side of the footage. The alligator bumps into the side of the kayak, flipping it over and leaving the man underwater and vulnerable to attack. Fortunately for him, he appears to know what he's doing and is able to quickly flip himself back over and get out of the situation. The alligator also apparently seems to have lost interest, as you can't see it anywhere nearby in the footage after the original attack. Perhaps it was just interested in playing a quick prank and scaring the kayaker. The situation is over and done with pretty quickly, but I'm sure the man had this on his mind for a long time and probably avoided kayaking that area for at least a little while. Number 4. Witch hut. This footage comes from a vlogger on YouTube that has apparently been having some strange experiences. He says that he has been having run-ins with a witch and decides to go into the forest in the dead of night and search for where she's been living. Definitely sounds like a great horror movie plot. The footage shows the vlogger stumbling upon wooden crosses, which he says indicate that this is the home of the witch, also showing a large teepee made out of branches. He says that he also found other ceremonial and strange items, but he doesn't actually show them in the video. He suddenly gets frightened and turns to the left, shining his flashlight. It reveals a woman standing eerily still, wearing what looks like a white gown or a wedding dress. She has dark hair and in the video also looks to me like she has no face, though this could just be a result of the video quality and lighting. The vlogger finally decides to make a good decision and runs away from the area as soon as he encounters the witch. Number 3. Abandoned hospital. We've covered urban exploration a few times in this series, and let's take a look at another one, this time coming from an abandoned hospital facility. This one is potentially a mix of paranormal and just a frightening human encounter. The YouTuber called Ruined Road is walking through the facility when he gets to a dark area on a lower level. He hears a grunting voice come from the dark and he responds with a quick "hi" before quickly making his way out of there, not wanting to discover who or what was making the noise. When he gets outside, however, he is met with someone who tells him that he's not allowed to be there, claiming to be a security guard at the facility that is apparently being rebuilt. The man then offers to give him a tour of the place if he pays him some cash. Many people believe that this man was actually not a security guard or worker of any kind, and that this easily could have turned into a pretty scary situation for the YouTuber. Number 2. Fire alarm. This video was published in 2017 by a YouTuber called Edge Ninja. Apparently, a lot of creepy things happened on GoPro in 2017 for some reason. The man explains that the factory, as it's called, has always been an eerie landmark in the community. Apparently, no one ever seeing anyone or anything going in or out of the abandoned building for many years. One day, however, he realizes that there is a fire alarm going off in the building, despite it apparently being dormant for around 30 years. He circles the building to show that the alarm is going off in multiple different areas, but the creepiest part comes when he zooms into a window to show the alarm that's going off in a stairwell. People pointed out that in the window to the left, you can see what appears to be a creepy figure, many people saying that it looks like a ghostly face. Number 1. Abandoned street. Now let's wrap up this list with something that isn't paranormal and isn't death-defying, but is instead just downright creepy and unsettling. Urban exploration videos often share the discovery of creepy things, whether it be graffiti demonic symbols or maybe leftover documents from an abandoned asylum, but this YouTuber found something pretty unique. He was exploring an abandoned street when he decided to enter one of the empty buildings. As he walks through the house, it seems to be your typical abandoned location, peeling paint, graffiti, and broken floors. But when he enters the basement of the home, he finds something he definitely didn't expect: a spine vertebrae. He does what any sane person would do and pokes it a bit, because why wouldn't you? People in the comments debate over whether it's from an animal or a human being, but what we know for sure is that it's definitely creepy.